Well, what a beautiful introduction that is, and welcome to Veganic Gardeners Question Time. I'm your host, Giles Bryant from the World Healing Project, and I am super excited to share with you the amazing, incredible solutions that we do indeed have. You know, Gandhi said, there is nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. Yes, indeed. And I really do believe, as our panelists do, and a growing amount of people around the world, that Veganic, the vegan organic, will bring so many solutions to having healthy food and a biodiverse, rich, abundant world. And you can find out more, of course, at the incredible website of the Vegan Organic Network. That's veganorganic.net. Now, we were up in Manchester recently. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Maestro. Veganorganic.net. We were up in Manchester at the wonderful EcoFest organized by the Vegan Organic Network. I think there were probably 1,000, 2,000 people there. Wonderful array of fantastic things. You could see a few of the things that were going on there. There was healthy food, there were talks, there were workshops. There was a crazy man driving kids around in a trike, sprouting, Tai Chi, superfoods, demonstrations and stalls and activities and live music and general jolliment. It was a fantastic event. So well done to the Vegan Organic Network for organizing this incredible event. We look forward to more of things that they'll be putting on as well and being part of. And you know, you can be part of not just this show by sending in your comments and your questions and sharing it to your friends and loved ones and to your networks, but you can get involved with the Vegan Organic Network in a real simple way by a brilliant project called the Von Map. Now, do we have a graphic for this here coming up, Maestro? We might indeed. You can go to vonmap.org. Now, the map is an incredible idea, which is to, if you are a grower and you don't grow without any chemical inputs or any animal inputs, you can put yourself on the Von Map, or you might just support this. Thank you, Maestro, for that wonderful graphic, vonmap.org. You might just want to support this project, there we go, by joining the map as a supporter. You might want your food without chemicals in it or without harmful animal inputs in it. You might want healthy, abundant food. So join the map. It's free to join, and it's a great way to network with other people. Well, that's enough for me for an introduction. I would like to introduce our fantastic panelists. Now, here we go. Here we go. Who have we got up first? Well, I tell you what, I want to say they're all my favorites, these three, and I picked a rose for each of them. But let's start with a real rose, Ellen Mary. Now, Ellen is a horticultural radio show host, a TV presenter, incredible YouTube videos. Do check them out, everyone, and author and writer. She's traveled all over the world to discuss the benefits that nature provides to our well-being, specifically gardening. She's the author of The Joy of Gardening and How to Grow a Garden, founder of People Plants Wellbeing, which provides nature therapy, integrative wellness and spiritual healing. And you'll find more at ellenmarygardening.co.uk. Ellen, it's lovely to see you. How are you?
Hi there. Thank you. That was a mega introduction, wasn't it? I've got to live up to that now.
Well, I tell you what, you absolutely deserve it. When the maestro said to me, can you get some experts together? First name on my list is Ellen Mary. Yeah. And what have you been up to?
Well, as always, Giles, gardening and spreading the love of that as well. So, yeah, this year has been, where are we at? We're already near the end of May, aren't we? Which is crazy how fast it goes. But yeah, mainly gardening, getting my hands dirty. And I ran a retreat earlier on in the year where we spent a weekend in the woods, forest bathing and tree hugging and walking barefoot, and we had a fermentation workshop and yoga, and it was just absolutely lovely to be immersed in nature. So yeah, it's been busy so far this year.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we really look forward to your wisdom coming through with these questions, few tricky ones in there. So thank you, Ellen. We will see you in a minute. I would like to introduce our next panelist, and she is certainly a rose, a wonderful woman indeed. It's Juliet Bryant. She's a nutritional therapist, a superfood alchemist, and Gosh, she is a plant lover. Juliet is a trustee of the Vegan Organic Network charity, and she runs Juliet's Kitchen, which provides courses. She creates amazing products, and she loves the earth. Her latest book is called Seven Magical Mushrooms, with a foreword by David Avocado Wolf, who recently interviewed Juliet for one of the best interviews I have ever seen. She lives in Suffolk with her I was going to say long-suffering husband, but very happy husband, Juliet Bryant. How are you, Juliet?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. You look beautiful as ever. JulietBryant.com if you want more info from Juliet. Juliet, you had a fantastic time at EcoFest. What else have you been up to?
Well, I've been working with our local school, getting them planting, helping them grow, helping them learn about different herbs. And this week we're actually planting a bed that the Vegan Organic Network have sponsored. We're going to create a beautiful raised bed with herbs and teach the kids what they can do with those herbs. I think it's such an important part, helping our youngsters learn the power of nature and the importance of growing. I've been growing in our garden and our greenhouse, and it's all doing really, really well, especially after that rain. We've had some rain the last few days and everything has just really flourished that little bit more from it. So that's been good. Running retreats, guiding people back to the earth, and foraging and showing them what's all around them, which is so exciting.
Beautiful. And Juliet, I think it's a new part of the Vegan Organic Network, isn't it? Is it called the Growing Nature Academy?
Yeah, that's right. And it's really exciting that we're expanding into, teaching young people about the soil, about the plants, about how to grow. I think these are vital skills as we move forward.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to your wisdom coming through. And last but not least, in any way, is a fantastic lady. It's Claire Turner. Now, Claire is a trainee herbalist and very keen veganic gardener. And she focuses mainly on perennial plants, which is very sensible. She grew up on a conventional farm. And Claire's journey to veganic growing has taken in many different approaches as orchards, community growing, and working with young people. And Claire's got a wonderful project that I've been checking out recently, Ahimsa Apothecary Herbals. You'll find her on Instagram with that title there, doing fantastic work, looking at a vegan alternative as well of some of these industries that have traditionally been testing on animals. And we know there's a better way. Claire, welcome to Veganic Gardeners Question Time.
Thank you very much. Hi.
And how are you doing today? And what have you been up to?
Yeah, I'm very well. I have been doing lots of harvesting. So when we think of organic vegetables, annual vegetables, we think, we might be in a bit of a hunger gap. But when we're thinking about herbs, really now it's the time when a lot of the herbs have most of their vital kind of medicinal properties in them. So I've been doing lots of harvesting of hawthorn, calendula, nettle tops, sage, thyme, rosemary, just really capturing that kind of vitality that's in a lot of the plants at the minute.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, I did have a little glance at some of the questions, so we might call upon your herbal knowledge to answer a few of those tricky questions, certainly later on. And it's wonderful work that you're doing as well. Just tell us a little bit about Ahimsa Apothecary Herbals.
Yeah, so I've spent the last 5 years studying herbal medicine, and I've been called to look at a lot of the different kind of clinical trials and the testing that goes on to kind of assess how herbs are working medicinally in the body and the medicinal impacts they have. And just time and time again, I kept seeing all these tests being done on animals, kind of pre-clinical trials, as well as kind of further down the line. So many tests done on mice, so many tests done on rats, so many tests done on rabbits, as well as larger mammals. And I just thought, actually, what are we wanting to create here? As a vegan, do I want to be supporting these industries, or do I want to be trying to create an alternative? Obviously, there are certain medications people need, but beyond that, the things we take in day to day, do we need them, and what animals might have been involved in getting them onto the shelves? So it's just really about raising awareness of that and trying to see what alternatives might exist.
Exactly. And the alternatives do indeed exist. Well, thank you, panel, for that wonderful introduction. It's lovely to see you all. And I tell you what, we have got some girl power on the panel today. That's all I'm going to say. I'll be the thorn in between you three beautiful roses. So I tell you what, Maestro, let's get into the questions, shall we? Because we've got some crackers today. So Claire, Ellen, and Juliet, are you ready? Oh, I hope we are. So Maestro, over to you for the first question, please. Oh, here we go. Oh, someone's just buzzed in straight away. What do you think about the trend of copper wires to put electrically energy in the soil? I tell you what, we're going to come back to that one. All right, we're going to come back to electroculture. Thank you for that. We'll buzz that in a minute. But Maestro, here we go. David from Braintree. He's a regular contributor with these questions. I've been using horse manure for 30 years on my garden with great results. My vegan son says I shouldn't. Well, what's the problem? I mean, David, he's been, growing his things for 30 years. Obviously, an older man, certainly not a vegan. Panel, who'd like to start? We can maybe explain what's the problem with David's approach. Julia, okay, over to you.
So I used to feel the same way as David, and I didn't understand what the problem with using manure. I thought it's free, it's enriching the soil, and it does definitely enrich the soil. However, once I started to research it, I really realized the ethical concerns, but for me, there were two other real huge concerns. First of all, the worming pills that the horses or chickens, if it's chicken manure, are consuming affect the worms in the soil, and worms in our soil are so important. And then more recently, what's been brought to my attention by a local organic farm is the fact that a herbicide called aminopyrrolid is being used on the crops that the animals eat. So this is for controlling broadleaves like thistles and docks, things like that. And the problem is when the animals graze and they eat the treated grass or the hay, then these herbicides pass through their system largely unchanged, and it goes into the soil. Now, this can really damage potatoes, tomatoes, beans, courgettes, cucumbers, and it turns organic land into non-organic land because obviously it's a herbicide that has been brought in. So this is a real issue that we're having to face. And the thing is, we don't need to use manure. There are so many ways that we can make vegan compost from our food waste. We can make brilliant fertilizers using comfreys and nettles, seaweeds. All of these things can enrich the soil without that need for manure.
Okay, thank you, Juliet. Well, that's a starter with us for David. Ellen or Claire, do you want to add anything to what Juliet said there?
Yeah. I mean, Juliet covered it completely there. I think, at the base of all of that is that it's basically an animal product. And as a vegan, I don't eat animal products. And so I don't want to grow my food in an animal product. And also, it is a byproduct of animal agriculture, sometimes factory farming. And I know it's easy to say, well, it's a horse down the road at a local farm and they're treated really, really well. And, I get why it's easy to think that. But at the end of the day, horses are meant to be wild, so we're still exploiting them for our enjoyment and our use. So I used to use manure the same before I was vegan. And then I got a new allotment, which was about 8 years ago. And I don't know why, but suddenly I was like, why would I want to put manure on this new allotment? Like I don't eat animal products. So yeah, that's why.
Yeah, sure. Lovely. Thank you, Ellen. So I think we've answered that quite well. Claire, do you want to add anything?
I mean, I can't add anything more as to why not to. They were two fantastic answers. I was going to say, obviously, if you've been doing something for such a long time, it might take a little while to find an alternative. So it's really just about experimenting with all the different ways that you can build fertility without manure. There are many. There's lots of great resources. So just really experimenting and finding a different way that doesn't involve manure that works for you and the soil that you're working with.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Well, thank you. So I'll tell you what, panel, someone buzzed in, and we really do appreciate the live audience here on Veganic Gardens Question Time. It's kind of a nice thing, and we've got the maestro to thank for that with all of his incredible things. So someone's asked us about the use of copper. Now, we use exclusively copper tools when we're gardening, following this eco technology of Victor Schauberger. But here we go. Thank you, Maestro. What about the trend? It said it's a trend. I mean, I don't know if it's a trend. I think it's been done for thousands of years, but electrically charge the soil. Now, Juliet, you recently organised, interviewed a global expert, didn't you, on electroculture? Do you want to just start just a few little things why people are doing it?
Yeah, I've done a few interviews now about electroculture, and it's something that's super fascinating. And as you said, it's hundreds of years old. It may be older than that, the use of copper. So it's putting these copper rods into the soil, and what they do is they harness the electromagnetic field in the earth and the cosmic energy. So they're creating a charge in the soil and around the plants that allows the plants to grow bigger. And the electroculture movement is really, really growing because there's a lot of evidence showing that it's increasing the grow size. Some people create copper pyramids to go over their plants and have done experiments using the copper pyramids and seeing which grow faster. And the yield from the electroculture is so much stronger than without it. And we've been experimenting, and our growing is doing really well.
Well, WASF is just a wonderful contributor. So thank you. Yes, the thing about Veganic is we don't want to use stock animals. That's the kind of thing, really. That's the philosophy. And a stock animal is an animal that's being farmed. So if you've got a pigeon flying over your land and having a poop, well, it's a free, that's just nature, right? We're happy with nature. We're happy with how nature is going. So that is really one of the things. And talking about human waste, I mean, obviously that was the fertility of the ancient ways, that everyone had the old crapper at the bottom of the garden. And now we're flushing it away. So certainly food for thought, or maybe not food for thought, if you'll pardon my pun. Let's move on, shall we, to the next question, please, Maestro. What have we got? Who have we got? It's Julie from Swindon. I've inherited a very large pot. Okay, that's nice. That I'm thinking of putting by my sunny back door. Any suggestions what I can plant in it? A nice big pot that Julie's got. Okay, who'd like to go first on this one? Who've got any ideas? Ellen, what could Julie put in a pot?
Sure. Depending on whether you want to have what you would like to gain from the pot. So it could be, flowers, pollinating, lovely flowers for pollinators. It could be herbs or salads, that kind of thing. I always think that if you have a pot that's near your back door or anywhere where you walk by, it has to be one of two things, and that's fragrant. So something where you kind of walk in and out of that, boundary outside, and you just are filled with the scent of the garden, or something productive where you can just nip outside the back door and harvest for your cooking. So herbs, for example, lavender, wonderful fragrance. You can also use that inside for cooking. So fill it up with lots of herbs that have that scent but is also productive. But for me, I would go with something like a beautiful fragrant jasmine or a honeysuckle that will climb up the back door as well and over it, so you have all that lovely scent, and something that's super good for pollinators as well. So I would go with focusing on sort of fragrance and something that will climb up. So yeah, jasmine, honeysuckle, that kind of thing.
Lovely. I think Julie's going to like that. So how about you, Claire? Have you got a pot by your back door? And if so, what would you put in it? Or what would you say to Julie to put in hers?
I was going to say, I would say something to Julie different to mine. Mine's north facing, so it's shady, so it's completely opposite. But for this one, Sunny, I was going down the line of like beautiful kind of Mediterranean herbs that are going to really like being in quite a dry, hot spot. So just like what was described, like a big rosemary bush in the middle, thinking about different heights, some lower growing kind of times, some lavender for a bit of middle, and then maybe some kind of trailing nasturtiums or something to give a bit of more annual colour and a bit of annual interest. So there's something edible, something you can just nip out and snip off some herbs for your cooking, some sage maybe, but then also a bit of structure. And yeah, lots of fragrance and some flowers for pollinators too. So something that would meet all the different needs of you and the pollinators in the garden.
Wonderful. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, I tell you what, Julie, you've got some good advice there, haven't you? Maestro, let's move on to the next question, please. It's Diana. I've been using Tomarite to feed my tomatoes in previous years, but is there a natural alternative? And Diana also wants to know, will it work as well? Will something natural work as well as those chemicals? Interesting. Okay, let's kick it off. Well, Juliet, you didn't get to answer about your pot by the back door. So, oh, by the way, I would have a bay tree. No one asked me, but I was just going to throw that in there. Juliet, Tomarite, what is that? I mean, do we even need to want to know? I don't know.
I mean, Tomarite contains fish-based ingredients, so if you're growing veganically, not an ideal thing to have because it's got fish. So for us, what we do is nettles and comfrey in a big bucket down the bottom of the garden, fill it with water and leave it to brew, and then go and collect that and add that to your watering can, diluted. And the tomatoes absolutely love it. They really get a lot out of it. So that would be what I would do on that one. Comfreys and nettle.
Okay. So do we have anything to add to that brew, Ellen?
I do exactly the same there as Juliet. So I've never, ever used any unnatural fertilizers on any of my crops. And I always crop an abundance of tomatoes. So the same with regards to comfrey and nettles, for sure. There's another way which you could, instead of making like the comfrey and nettle tea, if you like, is to chop up the leaves and put them around the base of the plant. So if you don't have, the time or facility, to do that, then you can chop them up, put them around the base of the plant. And then as you water it, that does actually help to enrich the soil. I've never done this, but I do know somebody that uses just banana peels around the base of their tomato plants. And apparently it works really, really well. I have never done that, but apparently that's a good way of feeding your tomatoes. There's also seaweed as well, because I think, Tomarite has, animal product or byproduct within it. It is seaweed based, I believe. So also like a seaweed feed would work really well.
Brilliant. And Claire, how about you? I don't know if you grow tomatoes up in Geordie land.
An outdoor variety called Stupis, which actually does really well here. I live not too far from the sea, so I go and gather seaweed and dry it and powder it, and that works well. I'd also seen and heard about the banana peels chopped up and put at the bottom of the planting hole or around the tomatoes, and I'm going to try that next year because I just think that's fantastic. Apparently it's because they're quite high in potassium, and potassium helps the fruits develop. So I just think that's the thing I'm going to try next year as well as the seaweed.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's not veganic, but I do love Alan Titchmarsh. He's a hero of mine. And one of the things that Alan has always talked about is, feeding the soil. And if you want to have bumper crops, have a good amount of it. And it's a mistake we've made in the past with our tomatoes. We put them in these tiny little pots, and they've not really done much. And again, Bob Flowerdew says, don't put 3 in a grow bag, just put 1 in. So have a good vessel, or put them in the ground or in your bed or your greenhouse, and really, really enrich that and give them lots of love. Give them lots of love and sing to them. See how that goes. So great questions there. Great answers there, I should say, rather, panel. Okay, Maestro, if you don't mind, please. Who's going to be next? Oh, it's Tony. It's Tony in Bristol. I've just got my first allotment, and I'm interested in no dig methods, as I've got a bad back. I don't know where to start. Okay. Now, we have got some fact on our panel today. You know, we've got wonderful experts. We've got really wonderful experts. And Ellen, I love your videos that you've made. You're just incredible, high quality videos. And you've done 2 books, The Joy of Gardening and How to Grow a Garden. And I know that you are no dig. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go to you first with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Giles. No Dig has completely revolutionized the way I grow, if you like. So talking about feeding the soil when we were talking about growing tomatoes, No Dig is essentially, you know, allowing nature to do what nature does best, and that is letting the worms take the mulch down into the soil and spreading out all of that goodness, and not digging, or at least digging as little as possible or disturbing the soil as little as possible, actually allows for better soil structure as well. You have to remember that plants have grown on the planet for a millennia without us digging. And pre-rotivating, the soil wasn't dug so much that actually No Dig isn't new. It's a very old method of gardening, but of course, you know, other things came in and we tried other ways of gardening. So what I would suggest about doing first, and that is collecting a lot of cardboard. Now, cardboard isn't necessary, but I do recommend it if you are first starting out with No Dig. So essentially what I would do is remove perennial weeds, very kind of tenacious perennial weeds if you can, and all the rest you can leave, including grass, and layer some cardboard down on where you want to grow, and then apply a thick mulch. So your mulch could be one of many things. And if you're gardening veganic, hopefully that doesn't include any kind of manure. So it might be your homemade compost, for example. I know lots of people that have used things like grass clippings mixed in with other stuff. You can get plenty of compost that is now plant-based. And layer a good 10 centimeters on top of that cardboard, and then make sure you stomp on it. So it needs to be quite compact to completely block the light out from the soil beneath. So that's going to get rid of all the weeds. Now you can then plant into that straight away, and then all you will have to do once a year, and I do usually in autumn time, sometimes spring, is a 3 centimeter mulch over where you're going to grow. Now, over the course of, I find that No Dig really came into its own on my allotment in year 3. So you will obviously still have some weeds to deal with, for example, but very, very few. And over the years that will get less and less. And yes, you just add your 3 centimeters of mulch on top once a year, and you carry on planting, and you don't have to get that spade or fork out and dig into the soil. And it will definitely help your back. It will definitely help the structure of your soil. This can be used on all types of soil, so heavy soils, sandy soils. It will replenish the soil, and as we know, that's where the basis of all life comes from. We need to have good soil in order to grow good, healthy, strong plants. And yeah, it will feed the soil, it will improve the structure, and it will help your back. So I do thoroughly recommend No Dig, and it is part of my kind of biodiverse space, if you like, and I do genuinely feel that it has helped overall.
Brilliant, thank you. Claire, do you want to add anything? I mean, what's your thoughts about, you know, the No Dig, or to dig or not to dig? That is the question.
Yeah, I'm also no digger. What I was going to say was that it can be quite overwhelming when you first take on an allotment, especially if it's your first one and you've not had one before, depending on the size of it. And I think, like you say, gathering loads of cardboard and working out kind of bit by bit, what are you doing? What's your plan? Observing, you know, where are the patches where there might be more water? Where is it drier? What is happening on that plot? Really observing and starting to take notice of what's happening, so that you can work out when you do get to the planting stage, what is best to plant where. And then if you've taken on an allotment, you've got a bad back, are there people that can help you just get the cardboard down, get the compost down, and start no digging? Any help you can get initially can be really helpful with just getting you going when it's your first one.
That's a really great bit of advice. So Tony, you could always barter. You could always say, look, friends, I'm going to share some of these amazing veggies and fruit I'm going to grow. But, with I just need a little bit of help barrowing some of this plant matter over. Julia, anything I know you're a no digger. And I also think, it's part of the problem is when people have been putting these iron-based tools into the earth, the ploughing and the digging, and it's that's dissipating this energetic charge of the earth, which is why we are on the Victor Schauberger tip in our veganic garden here in sunny Suffolk. Anything to add there, Juliet?
No, I think they covered it. What I've seen, from our growing is that it really, really works, no dig. It's the best way to do it. And as you said, using iron tools disrupts the electromagnetic charge of the soil. So if we can I like using my hands as much as possible when I'm gardening. It feels so much better to get the soil under my hand and how hard you're going, and if you're disrupting anything and you're not going to hurt any worms. So for me, using my hands or the copper tools is the way to go. And digging as little as possible.
Yes. However, I've got to say we did dig in some those seed potatoes, and after that rain, they're coming up. All right, Maestro. Next one, please, if you don't mind. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Mary's on the Isle of Wight. Beautiful Isle of Wight. What are you? Sorry, spelling mistake there, Mary. What are your 3 favourite herbs to grow and why? Okay, Claire, I'm going to get, you can start, my dear. Your 3 favourite and why?
This is such a hard question.
I know, Mary's fault.
At the moment, it would be lemon balm, just such an easy plant to grow when it's happy, just really kind of mint family, so it kind of spreads itself. Really amazing scent. Delicious fresh in a salad, so like the young leaves can be used in a salad, used as tea fresh. That would be my number 1. Number 2 has to be calendula. I just love the orange and the yellow flowers. They just remind me of summer and sunshine, and every time I look at them I get brought so much joy, which is one of the things that I love having in the garden, as well as being edible, of course. And then my 3rd one, I think it'd be a rose, but I think probably Rosa rugosa. I really like the big kind of pink blooms and the scent of Rosa rugosa. It's kind of like a big shrub that does this, and then when you get close, the scent is just magical. And I love a bit of magic in the garden.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Julia, over to you. Your 3 favourite herbs and why?
So I'd have to say rosemary is the top one by the front and back door. Rosemary's always been used as protection in ancient times, and I really feel it does create that protection around the house. Plus, it's incredible in teas. It's amazing for the memory. It's amazing for the respiratory system and the digestive system. So many muscle repair, so many amazing properties. It's got those beautiful purple flowers, so it attracts pollinators, thrives in most conditions, so rosemary is definitely number 1. It is a very hard one because there are so many incredible ones, and we have a lot of herbs in our garden. I'd have to say lemon balm / mint. I'm going to get 2 in there because, again, the abundance that they grow in. We've been making beautiful cocktails like mocktails and just adding rosemary, lemon balm and mint because it's in such abundance into our water or into a drink. And it's so beautiful to get that infusion of medicine really from them. Lemon balm, super calming and refreshing. And then the 3rd one, I'd have to say it's got to be mugwort, which is a bit more of an unusual herb, but mugwort for me is super calming, relaxing. It also has that ability to open your mind as well. And they used to say the witches would put it under their pillows and it would help them fly at night. So mugwort has got to be my 3rd.
There we go. Absolutely. Flying tonight, everyone. And Ellen, over to you. Can you get 3?
I definitely want to put mugwort underneath my pillow now. I would love to fly at night. That sounds amazing, right? I'm going to put a broomstick by the bed as well. That's really hard now because you've just both said so many good herbs. First of all, I'm going to go with mint. And I know that Juliet just said that, but I love it because it grows in abundance, and I do grow it in a big pot. But there's always enough to harvest for, you know, use at home. But also when it flowers, the pollinators absolutely flock to it. So I love letting my mint flower. It looks really, really pretty, and it will always be full of bees and hoverflies and lacewings. So I love mint for that reason. Recently, I have really got into using orange thyme. So you can get an orange or a lemon thyme, but it has such an incredible scent to it. And using that in cooking is absolutely exquisite. That like citrusy add to that thyme taste is absolutely lovely. And my third is going to be lemon verbena. So I love the plant. I think it's a really beautiful plant. I overwinter mine in the greenhouse with a wrap of bubble wrap or something around it to keep it warm. But lemon verbena and lavender tea is my absolute favorite herbal tea. So they're my three.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I tell you what, let's just grow more. Let's grow more plants. Let's grow more herbs, shall we? One of the things that we said to the one of the teachers at the school is, look, if we can grow mint, and then you can have a mint tea, then you're not having to get your tea from China. And we're, you know, the carbon emissions and all this. Is it worth saving seed from last year's kale, which overwintered but is now flowering? That's from the Lake Dark Cherry. Anyone just want to buzz in? Is it worth saving seed?
It's always worth saving seed.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
totally.
Absolutely. If you can save seed, save seed. That's really, you know, the plant grew well. You know that it works for you. It saves money. It saves transport costs. It saves all of that. You know that it's organic because you've grown it. So yeah, absolutely. The more seed we can save, the better.
I would totally agree with that. I mean, and isn't it a miracle of life? Isn't it just a miracle that, you know, we get these plants and then we can just get the seeds and then we can just grow more? I mean, that's pure abundance for me. Maestro, next question, please. Thank you for buzzing in the Lake Dark Cherry with that one. Who are we going to go to now? Where in the world are we going? We're going to Manchester. I attended the recent Manchester Eco Fest, which was brilliant. I'm a student who lives in a flat with no garden. What can I grow? Look, I'm going to buzz in here, panel, because at the event, we had these two beautiful girls doing a sprouting workshop. So, Sam, I don't know if you saw that. You might have missed it at the event. And they had maybe like 15 different things that you could sprout. And I think that's one of the best things, because students are often short of money, but we can sprout very easily just by, you know, rinsing the sprouts, rinsing them a few times a day, and it turns those little seeds or those little, you know, pulses or whatever into just an incredible amount of goodness that you can then put on top of your, what do students eat? Pot noodles or something? I don't even know. You put it on top of your, you know, your vegan spaghetti bolognese or your pizza or whatever. And also some herbs, I would say to you there, Sam. You got a window ledge, if you don't have a garden, but you might be able to get involved in a community project. Talk to your university about that. Say, we want to grow some food. We want to save the planet. We want to go veganic. So I know I've taken over their panel, but anything else to add to Sam there, do we think?
You can also grow strawberries, and you can get some dwarf cherries, which you could grow inside. So those kind of things, but I think sprouting and herbs are the key, because even just adding that little sprinkle of fresh herbs onto your food, and inside, you know, parsley, basil, even mint grow really, really well on a windowsill. So there's a lot we can grow, and the microgreens is another thing. So like sunflower seeds, you know, grow them to have them as a green as opposed to just a sprout. That's another great thing to grow inside.
Okay. Any other advice for Sam? Or did I cover it?
Well, no, I like what you said, Giles, about asking the university and seeing if you can get involved with the community garden. I used to work in universities, and we set up a student allotment on one of the universities I was working at. And it was just really nice to be able to get people that otherwise wouldn't have access to outdoor space into their allotment. So I think universities increasingly are open to these kind of things, or ask the Students' Union, see if there's already a society that's doing it. But definitely, I think, chat to people in your university and see if there's possibility of getting access to some land that way as well.
Because I tell you what, having lived in a flat, it's just having a garden is just amazing, isn't it? Just being able to ground yourself. And I know there's a big movement within the universities, the plant-based treaty and all of these things. So yeah, Sam, speak to them, but just get sprouting. And it was a great workshop that they did at the Eco Fest there. So, and lots of advice online how to do it. I tell you what, panel, we're doing really well. If we can get through all the questions, I'll be the happiest man in sunny Suffolk. Here we go. Next one, Maestro. Oh, here we go. It's Lorna. I'm a teacher who wants to start a gardening club at school. I'm trying to persuade the governors. Is there any evidence that gardening can help children's well-being? Is there any evidence? I mean, I don't know what Lorna means there. She means like scientific studies, or I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it, that it does? But Ellen, I know you've been very involved in this, in the well-being of gardening. What would you say to Lorna?
Yes, there's a lot of research more recently that's gone into the health and well-being benefits of gardening to people of all ages, all demographics, and children especially, we know, respond very well to being outside, getting their hands in the soil and learning where food comes from and their overall well-being. What I would say is you could perhaps look up the research that was carried out by the RHS maybe 5 or 6 years ago now that found the 3 pillars of well-being, and that was physical, mental, and social. And that's completely across all ages, but it's very interesting read. What I would also suggest is talking to a school gardening kind of ambassador. There's, I don't know if you've heard of Lee Connolly. He's called the Skinny Jean Gardener, but he actually takes gardening, like a gardening tour all around the UK, where he talks to teachers and pupils about the benefits of growing, why and how that helps wellness. And I would get in touch with him because he will have all of the resource that you need to perhaps persuade the governors that this is a good way forward. Also, there is Dr. Richard Claxton. If you look him up, he has a website to do with gardening for wellness. There's also a Thrive charity. They're social and therapeutic horticulture. They might have some resource for you as well. But there's more research being done now into the benefits of gardening as we're learning more about it. But yes, there's some resource for you. There has been research done, and absolutely 100% it does help children's well-being. Just very quickly, some time ago I worked in a community garden where we helped asylum seekers and refugees integrate into the community, and we had a young person's gardening club, and there was one young boy who was from Syria, and he was so traumatized he was unable to speak. And after a few weeks within the gardening club, he actually started to ask questions about the plants. So he actually found his voice in the garden. And that was an incredible thing to see. So this could be, I mean, you as a child, when you're gardening, you have to implement all of the things that are in a GCSE curriculum, right? Science and maths and English, geography, history, art, all of the things come into gardening. So it's very much worth pursuing, and I would definitely chat with Lee, Skinny Jean Gardener.
Nice one. And also Von's very own growing, is it the Growing Nature Academy?
Yeah, Growing Nature Academy. We've got lots of resources up on the Vegan Organic Network website under the Growing Nature Academy. So there's resources that people can use in schools and to help get their gardening clubs up and running.
I tell you what, I think would be a great idea. We should, with some of the people that you were mentioning there, Ellen, that we should maybe we try and put on a conference or something
Yeah.
about, you know, about the benefits. Maybe Von could sponsor that, about the benefits of gardening, that, you know, that well-being aspect.
Yeah.
Obviously we all need to eat, but I
Mm.
think that that's a really vital part of it. And in my experience of running a gardening club at a school in 2 years, you know, I saw the great benefits. Look, panel, I mean, I'm tragic to say in some ways that we've come to the end of the show, because I have enjoyed this so much. I've just loved it. Could have kept going for ages. The one thing I just wanted to mention is that if anyone is out there that is on the Von map who would like to talk about what they're doing, then please do contact us through the website, through veganorganic.net, and we would love to interview you. And I'd just like to say to Claire, Ellen, and Juliet, thank you so much for being here. But also, if you'd ever like to go into a bit more detail, we want to do more shows with Von. We want to get the message out there in a wider way, and also sometimes in a brief way. You know, with the popularity now of these YouTube shorts and these TikTok and all this, you know, we want to get the message out there, and some people don't have the attention span of a 45-minute show, but maybe they just need to have that little bit of a soundbite. So I know we've gone over time, but I just want you to finish off, maybe just for 30 seconds. What would your message be to the people out there? We'll start with you, Claire.
Yeah, I think there's so much joy that we can get, whether we're vegan or not, from growing using methods that don't involve animal inputs and slaughterhouse byproducts, and that get our hands in the soil. And there's so much research about the benefits of getting our hands in the soil. So get your hands in the soil, work with the plants, and let's do it in a way that helps to really heal the earth rather than harm the earth.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Ellen, what would your message be to people?
I guess my message would be, you know, absolutely everything that we do, even from breathing, impacts the planet one way or another. So perhaps think about, you know, trying to just make sure that everything that you're doing, your impact is positive. And veganic gardening is by far and away the most positive way of gardening. So experiment with it, enjoy the process of learning about it, and know that that's going towards, you know, making for a better planet, people, planet, and for animals.
Beautiful, beautiful. And finally, Juliet, from you, what would your message be? What is your message to the people out there?
My message is that we have to remember we're not separate from this earth. We're not walking on this earth separate. We're actually part of it. So we're part of the roses, we're part of the trees, and actually just taking that time to observe what is already there. You know, gardening is a beautiful thing, but actually also just observing nature's growing, and what we can forage with respect, and what we can observe, and just being in that presence, that being connected to nature brings us, you know, that remembrance of who we are. And as everyone else has said, you know, getting our hands in the soil and not being scared to just make a start, because there's no wrong move that we can make when we're doing it with love and with that intention of being part of this beautiful earth.
Beautiful. Well, I'd like to thank all of our wonderful panelists. And I'd like to thank you out there, the listener, as well, for joining in. The Vegan Organic Network is an incredible charity. It's my favorite charity. And you can donate to support the work. You can also become a member. And please do join the Von map, because it is free to do. And my message for everyone, just to finish off the show, is the final words. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Maestro. Join now. It's free, the Von map. My message is the final words of George Harrison. As old George was about to move into the spirit world, he said, love one another. So let's just love one another. Let's love the animals. Let's love the planet. And let's create a beautiful world of planet-friendly growing. I am Giles Bryant from the World Healing Project. You've been listening to the Veganic Gardeners Question Time. Thank you, panel. You've been amazing. And we will see you for another packed show. Get your questions in for June, a June summer solstice special. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Take care.
Bye.